In a quiet classroom, one teacher's bias turns a student's dream into a nightmare. Maya, a bright and determined young girl, faces subtle prejudice at the hands of Ms. Carroll, her teacher. But when her father, a respected judge, steps in, the story takes a shocking turn that exposes the truth and changes the entire school forever. This isn't just about grades, it's about standing up to injustice and fighting for what's right. Stay tuned to witness a tale of courage, accountability, and the ripple effects of one brave act. Ms. Carroll was a seasoned teacher with over 2 decades of experience, known for her no-nonsense attitude and traditional teaching methods. Her graying hair was always tied neatly in a bun, and she dressed in crisp, formal outfits that radiated authority. Students often described her as strict but fair, at least on the surface. However, beneath her professional demeanor, Ms. Carroll harbored subtle biases that occasionally seeped into her interactions. While she rarely voiced her prejudices outright, her actions spoke volumes. Her classroom was her domain, and she controlled it with an iron grip, expecting unquestioning obedience from her students. Maya was a bright, ambitious 16-year-old with a natural curiosity and a love for learning. Her dreams stretched far beyond the small town she called home. She aspired to attend an Ivy League college and become a lawyer like her father. With deep brown eyes full of determination and a warm smile that lit up every room, Maya was both popular among her peers and deeply respected by her teachers, except for Miss Carroll. Her impeccable grades and tireless work ethic made her stand out, but they also drew unwanted attention from those who underestimated her potential. Now write next heading, write like my competitor's style and tone, avoid redundancy, stick to the plot, focus on word count, strictly follow the word count number, write in easy, engaging words. Ms. Carroll's classroom was a blend of order and subtle tension. While most students sat quietly, diligently working on their assignments, there was an unspoken divide. Maya, with her confident answers and sharp insights, often stood out among her classmates. Though some admired her intellect, Ms. Carroll's gaze often lingered with an air of disapproval. She praised other students generously, but offered only curt nods or faint acknowledgments to Maya, creating an uneasy atmosphere. Maya sensed the unspoken bias, but chose to remain focused, determined to excel, despite the growing unease in the room. From the first day Maya entered Ms. Carroll's classroom, a quiet tension simmered. Ms. Carroll, a veteran teacher, prided herself on maintaining control and order, and Maya's confident demeanor seemed to challenge that. Whenever Maya raised her hand, her enthusiasm evident, Ms. Carroll hesitated for just a moment too long before calling on someone else. It wasn't overt enough to be noticed by most, but to Maya, the pattern was clear. The teacher was dismissive of her contributions. Maya's assignments were meticulous, her research thorough, and her presentations engaging. Yet, when it came to feedback, Ms. Carroll's words always felt measured, almost reluctant. A generic "good work" replaced the detailed praise Maya's peers often received. Maya's hard-earned victories were met with muted acknowledgement, a subtle reminder that, in Ms. Carroll's eyes, she didn't belong in the spotlight. Beyond the classroom, the bias was more explicit. In staff meetings, Ms. Carroll made sly remarks about Maya's overconfidence, or hinted that Maya needed humbling. These comments, veiled as concerns, painted a troubling picture. She claimed Maya's ambition overshadowed her peers, sowing doubt among other staff members about the young student's character. Group projects became another battleground. When assignments required collaboration, Ms. Carroll deliberately assigned Maya to less influential roles. While others led discussions and presented findings, Maya was often relegated to background tasks. For a student as driven as Maya, these decisions felt like deliberate attempts to stifle her voice. Maya, however, chose to rise above. She noticed the microaggressions, but refused to let them break her spirit. At home, she confided in her parents, who reminded her of her worth and resilience. Their unwavering support fortified her determination. Maya resolved to excel, not for Ms. Carroll's approval, but to honor her own potential. Still, the weight of Ms. Carroll's disapproval lingered. Every dismissive glance and lukewarm comment chipped away at her confidence. Yet Maya used each slight as fuel, committing herself to prove her merit through hard work and grit. Ms. Carroll, however, was far from finished, her subtle undermining soon escalating into direct sabotage. Maya's drive was unmatched. Despite the challenges she faced under Ms. Carroll's watch, her academic record continued to shine. She spent countless evenings at the library. Her textbooks sprawled across tables as she delved into topics with a hunger for knowledge. Her peers admired her dedication, often turning to her for guidance on difficult assignments. Maya's test scores consistently ranked at the top of her class. Her essays showcased her analytical skills, while her presentations were a blend of creativity and precision. One project, in particular, demonstrated her brilliance. Assigned to discuss a historical event, Maya chose to highlight unsung heroes of the civil rights movement. Her passion was evident in every word, her delivery captivating her classmates. They erupted in applause at the end, their admiration palpable. But Ms. Carroll's response was a stark contrast. "It was fine," she said, her tone devoid of warmth. "Next time, tone down the theatrics." Maya felt the sting of those words. While her classmates' applause validated her effort, Ms. Carroll's dismissal lingered. But Maya wouldn't let it deter her. Instead, she channeled her frustration into her studies, determined to let her achievements speak for themselves. Outside the classroom, Maya participated in extracurricular activities that showcased her leadership and creativity. She joined the debate team, where her arguments consistently won her rounds. She volunteered at a local community center, tutoring younger children. Maya wasn't just excelling academically, she was becoming a role model. Ms. Carroll, however, viewed Maya's success with irritation. The more Maya excelled, the more it seemed to threaten the teacher's authority. Maya's determination, her refusal to shrink under scrutiny, only fueled Ms. Carroll's quiet animosity. Each accomplishment Maya achieved felt like a personal affront to Ms. Carroll's biases. Despite this, Maya remained steadfast. She held on to the lessons her parents instilled in her, that perseverance and integrity would always win. Her sights were set on a prestigious academic competition, one that could open doors to scholarships and future opportunities. Maya believed her hard work would secure her a nomination. Little did she know, Ms. Carroll was already plotting to block her path. When the school announced its annual academic competition, Maya's heart soared. It was her dream to represent her school, a goal she had worked tirelessly toward. With her academic track record and leadership skills, Maya was the obvious choice. Her classmates even teased her, saying, "We already know who's going to win." But Ms. Carroll had other plans. The teacher couldn't bear to see Maya receive such recognition. Determined to thwart her, Ms. Carroll began planting seeds of doubt among her colleagues. "Maya's talented, sure," she'd say, "but she's not a team player. She's a bit too self-assured, don't you think?" These comments, subtle but insidious, began to influence opinions. When the selection committee convened, Ms. Carroll came prepared. She presented unsubstantiated concerns about Maya's attitude, painting her as overly ambitious and difficult to work with. A few teachers pushed back, defending Maya's work ethic and character, but Ms. Carroll's influence was undeniable. The committee ultimately chose another student, one less accomplished but deemed more manageable. Maya was crushed when she learned the news. She had poured her heart into her studies, believing her efforts would be enough. But instead of dwelling on her disappointment, Maya resolved to continue excelling. What she didn't know was that Ms. Carroll wasn't finished. To further undermine Maya, Ms. Carroll scheduled an unusually difficult test, claiming it was part of the curriculum. The questions were obscure and unrelated to the topics they had covered, designed specifically to trip up Maya. Unaware of the scheme, Maya prepared diligently, confident that her dedication would see her through. When test day arrived, Maya approached the challenge with her usual determination. She focused intently, answering each question to the best of her ability. But as she worked, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The questions seemed deliberately confusing, unlike anything she had encountered before. Ms. Carroll watched from the front of the classroom, her expression unreadable. While the other students struggled, Maya pushed forward, refusing to give up. Even in the face of deliberate sabotage, her resilience remained unshaken. But the teacher's actions had set the stage for a confrontation that would change everything. The day of the test dawned, and Maya felt ready. She had spent countless hours studying every possible angle of the material, reviewing her notes until the early hours. Her father had encouraged her the night before, saying, "Maya, your dedication is inspiring. Just focus on doing your best." As she walked into the classroom, Maya carried herself with quiet determination. Her classmates noticed her confidence, some even whispering, "Maya's got this in the bag." Ms. Carroll, however, stood near her desk with a faint smirk, a stark contrast to her usual expressionless demeanor. The test began, and Maya quickly realized something was wrong. The questions were worded in convoluted ways, designed to confuse rather than assess knowledge. Many of them touched on topics barely covered in class, leaving Maya to rely on guesswork for some answers. Despite her growing frustration, she pressed on, determined to finish what she had started. When the bell rang, signaling the end of the exam, Maya walked out of the classroom feeling uneasy but still hopeful that her preparation would carry her through. Unbeknownst to Maya, Ms. Carroll had crafted the test with a deliberate agenda. She included obscure questions that required resources only available outside the school, knowing Maya wouldn't have access to them. Furthermore, the grading rubric was rigged to penalize small errors harshly, ensuring that Maya's score would fall short. When Ms. Carroll reviewed the completed exams, she found herself smirking as she marked Maya's answers. Despite Maya's brilliance shining through in some responses, Ms. Carroll deducted points unnecessarily, circling trivial errors and writing harsh remarks in red ink. It wasn't about accuracy or fairness. It was about control. A day later, Ms. Carroll posted the test results. As students gathered around the bulletin board, Maya froze when she saw her score. It was far lower than she'd ever received, even in her weakest subjects. Whispers filled the hallway. "That can't be right. Maya never scores that low." Ms. Carroll, standing nearby, offered a dismissive comment. "Perhaps this will teach some humility." The blow was devastating. Maya had worked harder than ever before, only to see her efforts crushed under Ms. Carroll's bias. Tears threatened to spill, but she swallowed them back, refusing to let her teacher see her pain. Maya walked home in a daze, her mind racing with disbelief and confusion. She replayed every moment of the test, wondering how she could have fallen so short. By the time she reached home, her parents immediately noticed something was wrong. Maya finally broke down, showing them her test paper and explaining everything. Her father, Judge Roberts, carefully examined the exam and Maya's answers. He noticed inconsistencies in the grading and unfair deductions. "This isn't about your abilities, Maya," he said firmly. "This is about something else entirely." Encouraged by her father's words, Maya decided she couldn't stay silent. The next day at school, she approached Ms. Carroll during the break. "Miss Carroll," Maya began, her voice trembling, "I'd like to talk about my test. I don't think the grading was fair." Ms. Carroll looked at her with thinly veiled disdain. "Life isn't always fair, Maya. Perhaps you should focus less on questioning authority and more on improving yourself." Maya stood her ground, her voice growing stronger. "I deserve to be treated with respect and fairness, just like everyone else in this class." Ms. Carroll, caught off guard by Maya's courage, dismissed her with a wave of her hand. "This conversation is over." But Maya knew it wasn't over. She walked out of the classroom, her resolve hardening. If Ms. Carroll wouldn't listen, someone else would. Good, now write next heading, write like my competitor's style and tone, avoid redundancy, stick to the plot, Fuchs on word count, strictly follow the word count number, write in easy, engaging words. That evening, Maya sat at the dining table with her parents, her test paper in front of her. Her voice trembled as she recounted the events, the unusually difficult questions, the harsh grading, and Ms. Carroll's dismissive attitude during their conversation. Her mother, Rebecca, a gentle but assertive woman, leaned forward, anger flashing in her eyes. "This isn't just about a bad grade, it's about how she's treating you," she said, her voice firm. Judge Roberts, usually calm and composed, frowned deeply as he analyzed the test. "These deductions don't make sense," he said, pointing out unfair marks on Maya's answers. "This isn't just poor teaching, this is deliberate." Maya nodded, her voice gaining strength. "I studied so hard for this. I know I did well. She's just trying to bring me down." Her father placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You don't need to prove anything to her, Maya, but we do need to address this injustice." Rebecca agreed, adding, "She needs to know her actions have consequences." Judge Roberts decided it was time to act. He reassured Maya that this wasn't her failure, but a reflection of Ms. Carroll's prejudice. "We'll handle this together," he promised. The next day, Judge Roberts meticulously prepared for a meeting with the school. He reviewed the test paper again, noting every unfair deduction and inconsistency. He also requested Maya gather any previous assignments or interactions that could reveal a pattern of bias. "This isn't just about one test," he explained to Rebecca. "If this teacher has treated Maya this way, there's a chance other students have faced similar issues. It's time someone held her accountable." Rebecca admired her husband's calm yet resolute demeanor. He wasn't the type to act out of anger. Instead, he believed in justice through proper channels. "You're going to make her regret underestimating Maya," Rebecca said with a small smile. When Judge Roberts arrived at the school, he carried himself with quiet authority. Clad in his professional suit, he looked every bit the powerful figure he was. Yet his tone was measured and respectful as he addressed the principal's secretary. "I'd like to schedule a meeting with Ms. Carroll and the principal regarding a serious concern," he said. The principal agreed to meet him the following day. Meanwhile, the staff, including Ms. Carroll, started whispering about the visit. Ms. Carroll, confident in her authority, dismissed the judge's presence as insignificant. "He can't prove anything," she muttered to herself. When Judge Roberts arrived for the meeting, he brought not only Maya's test, but a carefully documented list of discrepancies in Ms. Carroll's behavior. The principal, Mr. Henderson, welcomed him politely, but seemed uneasy as Roberts presented his case. "Mr. Henderson, my daughter has faced deliberate unfairness under Ms. Carroll's teaching. This test is just the latest example," Roberts said firmly. "Her grading doesn't follow standard practices, and her interactions with Maya have been condescending and dismissive." Ms. Carroll entered the room, her demeanor icy. She glanced at the papers on the table but remained silent. Roberts continued, "I've spoken with Maya, and her experience suggests a troubling pattern. I'm not here to make baseless accusations, but I expect this matter to be investigated thoroughly." The principal, clearly caught between his staff and the respected judge, nodded cautiously. "We'll review this immediately," he said. Ms. Carroll, however, wasn't intimidated. "With all due respect, Judge Roberts," she began, her tone laced with sarcasm, "not every student can handle high expectations. Perhaps Maya just didn't perform well this time." Judge Roberts locked eyes with her, his tone steady but firm. "High expectations don't include arbitrary grading or dismissing a student's hard work. My daughter deserves fairness, as does every child in this school." Ms. Carroll crossed her arms, her confidence unwavering. "I stand by my grading. If Maya feels otherwise, maybe she should work harder next time." The principal shifted uncomfortably, sensing the tension. Judge Roberts leaned back slightly, his calm demeanor intact. "Ms. Carroll," he said, his voice sharp, "this isn't about your opinion. It's about your actions, and I assure you, I will see that justice is done." Ms. Carroll left the room, her confidence slightly shaken but still defiant. Judge Roberts turned to Mr. Henderson, his expression resolute. "I'll be awaiting your findings," he said before leaving the school. Judge Roberts wasted no time gathering evidence after his meeting with the school. He requested copies of Maya's past assignments and tests, meticulously analyzing Ms. Carroll's grading patterns. What he found confirmed his suspicions. Maya's work, consistently excellent, had been unfairly graded compared to other students. Comments like "lacks clarity" and "needs improvement" were applied to well-written essays. Worse, other students with similar answers on tests received full marks where Maya lost points. Roberts also interviewed other parents discreetly, discovering a troubling trend. Ms. Carroll had a history of targeting students from minority backgrounds. Several parents shared stories of unfair treatment and discouraging remarks. One mother revealed that her son had switched classes due to Ms. Carroll's constant criticism. Equipped with this information, Roberts compiled a detailed report. Each piece of evidence painted a clear picture of a teacher abusing her position to perpetuate bias. "This is more than Maya's grades," Roberts said to Rebecca. "This is about systemic discrimination, and it needs to stop." Rebecca, though proud of her husband's determination, worried about the toll this was taking on Maya. But Roberts reassured her. "This fight isn't just for Maya. It's for every child who's been told they're not good enough because of prejudice." When Judge Roberts submitted his report to the principal, Mr. Henderson couldn't ignore the gravity of the situation. The evidence was damning. Roberts's methodical approach left no room for doubt, and the stories from other parents added weight to the case. Mr. Henderson called Ms. Carroll into his office for a private meeting. As he presented the evidence, her confident demeanor began to crack. "This is absurd," she protested. "I treat all my students equally. These accusations are baseless." But Henderson pressed on. "Ms. Carroll, this isn't just about one student. There's a clear pattern here, backed by testimony and documentation. Your grading discrepancies alone raise serious questions." Ms. Carroll's defensiveness turned to anger. "So you're going to take the word of a few disgruntled parents over a teacher with years of experience?" she snapped. Henderson remained firm. "This is about fairness, not experience. As an educator, you're entrusted with shaping young minds, not tearing them down." As news of the investigation spread through the school, whispers about Ms. Carroll's actions grew louder. Students began recounting their own experiences with her bias, adding to the mounting evidence. Ms. Carroll's once unquestioned authority was now under siege, and her reputation was crumbling before her eyes. The next day, Mr. Henderson called a formal meeting with Ms. Carroll, Judge Roberts, and a school board representative. The atmosphere in the room was tense as Henderson laid out the findings. "Ms. Carroll, the evidence is undeniable. Your grading practices and treatment of students demonstrate a clear bias," he said, his voice resolute. Ms. Carroll, now visibly shaken, attempted to defend herself. "This is a misunderstanding. I've always maintained high standards for my students." "High standards don't mean unfair treatment," Roberts interjected, his voice calm but commanding. "Your actions have harmed Maya and likely others. Accountability is long overdue." The board representative added, "We cannot allow this behavior to continue. You've violated the trust placed in you as an educator." Realizing she was out of options, Ms. Carroll fell silent, her defiance replaced by resignation. The principal delivered his verdict: immediate suspension pending further review, with the likelihood of dismissal. Word of Ms. Carroll's suspension spread rapidly through the school and the wider community. Parents and students alike expressed mixed reactions. While some defended her, claiming she was a strict but fair teacher, many others shared stories of her unfair treatment. The local news picked up the story, and soon Ms. Carroll became a symbol of systemic bias in education. Social media exploded with debates about racism in schools, with hashtags like Number Justice for Maya and Number Education Equality trending nationwide. Ms. Carroll, once respected in her field, found herself ostracized. Friends and colleagues distanced themselves, unwilling to be associated with the controversy. Her public apology, issued through a brief statement, did little to repair her reputation. Meanwhile, Maya felt a sense of vindication. Though the journey had been difficult, she knew her father's determination had made a difference, not just for her, but for other students who had faced similar injustices. The news of Ms. Carroll's suspension quickly became the talk of the town. Parents, teachers, and students couldn't stop discussing the incident. The school's decision to act decisively against a long-standing teacher shocked some, but for many, it was a long overdue wake-up call. Local media outlets picked up the story, interviewing parents and students who had experienced or witnessed Ms. Carroll's biased behavior. One parent shared, "My son came home discouraged so many times because of her comments. I didn't think anyone would ever hold her accountable." The community, often complacent about such issues, began reflecting on the biases embedded within its schools. At PTA meetings and community forums, parents demanded answers. How many other teachers are like Ms. Carroll? What are we doing to ensure this doesn't happen again? One parent asked, igniting spirited discussions. Social media amplified the conversation. Hashtags like Number Justice for Maya and Number Equal Education trended in the area, drawing attention from activists and educators nationwide. Some posts highlighted similar stories from other schools, while others celebrated Maya's courage and her father's role in exposing the injustice. Maya, once a quiet and reserved student, found herself at the center of a movement she hadn't intended to lead. Her classmates, inspired by her story, rallied around her, expressing solidarity and sharing their own struggles with discrimination. The incident sparked an intense dialogue about racism and bias in education, both within the school and beyond. The school board, faced with mounting pressure, called for an emergency town hall meeting to address concerns and outline steps for improvement. At the meeting, Judge Roberts stood to speak. "This isn't just about one teacher or one incident," he said firmly. "It's about ensuring that every child, regardless of their background, is given a fair chance to succeed. We need policies that reflect that commitment." Students also shared their perspectives. One sophomore recounted how a teacher had discouraged her from pursuing advanced math, while another spoke of feeling isolated in classroom discussions. Their stories, raw and emotional, painted a clear picture of the systemic changes needed. The school board responded by pledging to review teacher training programs, implement anti-bias workshops, and establish a committee to oversee complaints of discrimination. "This is just the beginning," the board president assured the crowd. "We are committed to change, but we need everyone's involvement." Educational experts and activists from neighboring towns joined the conversation, offering resources and strategies for creating more inclusive environments. The dialogue, though uncomfortable at times, marked a crucial step toward addressing long-standing inequities in the education system. As the incident gained traction, Maya discovered a newfound confidence in herself. What had initially felt like an overwhelming ordeal now seemed like an opportunity to make a difference. Encouraged by her parents and classmates, she decided to take an active role in advocating for fairness in education. Maya began attending student council meetings, pushing for changes that would ensure no other student experienced what she had. "I don't want this to be just my story," she said at one meeting. "I want it to lead to something bigger." She worked with teachers and administrators to develop peer support programs, ensuring students had safe spaces to voice concerns. Maya also started speaking at community events, sharing her journey and emphasizing the importance of standing up against injustice. Her voice resonated far beyond her school. Local organizations invited her to participate in youth panels, and a nonprofit focused on educational equity featured her in their campaign. Maya's story became a symbol of resilience and the power of standing up for what's right. Though she never sought the spotlight, Maya embraced her role as an advocate. "If my experience can help even one person feel seen or heard," she said, "then it's worth it." Her efforts inspired her peers to take action, fostering a sense of unity and purpose within the school. In response to the community's demands, the school wasted no time implementing tangible reforms. Anti-discrimination policies were updated to include stricter guidelines for addressing bias and misconduct among staff. Teachers were required to attend annual diversity and inclusion training sessions, focusing on recognizing and mitigating biases in the classroom. The school also introduced anonymous feedback channels for students and parents, making it easier to report concerns without fear of retaliation. A new oversight committee, comprising parents, teachers, and community leaders, was established to monitor the school's progress. Their role included reviewing complaints, ensuring transparency, and recommending further improvements. Principal Henderson addressed the changes during a school assembly. "We've learned a lot from this experience," he said. "Our goal is to rebuild trust and create an environment where every student feels valued and supported." The reforms, though a small step, marked a significant shift in the school's culture. Students felt more empowered to speak out, and teachers became more mindful of their actions. For Maya and her family, it was a validation of their efforts and a sign that progress, while slow, was possible. In the weeks following the incident, Maya's life took a remarkable turn. The same courage that helped her face Ms. Carroll's bias now fueled her journey toward a promising future. Recognizing her talent and resilience, several prestigious organizations reached out to Maya with scholarship opportunities and mentorship programs. One such opportunity came from a nonprofit focused on empowering young women in STEM fields. During their ceremony, Maya was honored as a rising star, her story serving as an inspiration for students and educators alike. "Maya reminds us all of the power of perseverance," the host said, handing her a medal. With newfound confidence, Maya set ambitious goals for herself. She decided to apply to top-tier universities, her sights set on a career in technology. Her father's unwavering support and her own determination gave her the strength to tackle any challenge. At school, Maya became a leader among her peers. She spearheaded initiatives like study groups and mentorship programs, ensuring every student had access to resources and support. Her transformation was evident to everyone around her. No longer the quiet girl in the corner, Maya had become a voice of strength and unity. For Maya, the experience served as a reminder that setbacks could be stepping stones towards something greater. "I've learned that standing up for what's right isn't just about me," she said at an event. "It's about creating a path for others to follow." Judge Roberts often found himself reflecting on the events that had unfolded. As a man of justice, he had seen countless cases of bias and inequality, but watching his daughter endure discrimination had deepened his resolve. Sitting in his study, he penned a piece for a local newspaper titled, "The Fight for Fairness Starts at Home." In it, he wrote about the responsibility of parents, educators, and community leaders to create an equitable world for the next generation. He also took pride in Maya's strength, knowing she had become a beacon of hope for many. At a family dinner, he shared, "Your courage has done more than expose injustice. It has reminded people of the power of standing up, even when it's hard." Judge Roberts began collaborating with educational organizations, advocating for stricter anti-discrimination policies in schools. His calm demeanor and sharp intellect made him a sought-after speaker at conferences and community events. Through it all, he remained grounded, cherishing the moments with his family and the knowledge that they had turned a painful experience into a movement for change. "Justice," he often said, "isn't just about laws. It's about the hearts we reach and the lives we touch." The incident left a lasting impact on the school and the surrounding community. Students, parents, and educators alike came to see it as a defining moment, a painful yet necessary catalyst for growth. At an end-of-year assembly, Principal Henderson addressed the student body. "What happened this year taught us hard lessons," he said. "But it also showed us the strength and determination of our students to demand better. Maya's courage reminds us of the standards we should always uphold." The school began celebrating diversity through cultural appreciation events and open forums where students could share their experiences. These changes fostered a stronger sense of community and inclusivity, breaking barriers that had existed for years. For the town, the story became a symbol of accountability and progress. Community leaders organized workshops to tackle prejudice, ensuring the conversation extended beyond the school walls. "We must remain vigilant," a local pastor said at one such gathering, "because justice is not a one-time act. It's an ongoing commitment." As for Maya and her classmates, they walked away with a deeper understanding of the power of unity and advocacy. Together, they proved that change was possible when people refused to stay silent. Please like and follow us for more stories like this.